Hop Garage Racer. Unexpectedly started the video in Ukrainian. It was always in Russian. The video will be in Russian, but now we have war in Ukraine and the video was shot before the war. We asked subscribers, they told us, let's put it out. Most of them said, let's put it out because we need something to watch, you know, so we're putting it out. Don't forget that there's still a war going on in the Ukraine and support the army. Glory to Ukraine. Op Garage Racer. We continue with the second episode of our awesome project From Rags to Riches. In the previous video, we told you about different M packages on BMW F30. Who is interested, take a look. And now we continue to tell you about the look. We'll talk about lighting, both front and rear. This is one of the most popular retrofit options at our service. Once again, we put in the effort for you and lined up a range of cars with different lighting setups. We'll run tests comparing how halogen lights up versus LED and how an LED replica performs compared to the original. I think everyone will find this interesting. So grab your popcorn and let's go. And we're starting, as you've probably guessed, with halogen. This is the most common lighting setup on the BMW F30. It comes as the base model, and we specifically turned on the parking lights for you. Don't be surprised. Sergey Bayko likes to add a bit of a custom touch to his car, so he has some kind of LED interior parking lights, though it would have been interesting to show you how the stock yellowish parking lights look. And why do we try not to turn them on? Because they're sad, and there's nothing beautiful about them. On optics on F30, you need to separate pre-rest from rest. The facelift came around the 8th month of 2015. So it turns out, the most popular F30 is the pre-facelift version. It comes with several lighting options. Standard halogen and two types of xenon, one with a turning function and one without. In other words, adaptive and non-adaptive xenon. Halogen is the most common option. In the facelift version, LED replaced xenon. So there is adaptive LED and non-adaptive LED. And there's also halogen in the facelift version, but it looks different. The parking lights glow from below with two small droplets. For your general knowledge, it's useful to know that if you see a pre-facelift F30 with LEDs, they are definitely retrofitted. By the way, US spec cars mostly come with halogens. It's very rare to find a pre-facelift F30 with xenon. There used to be myths that US spec cars always come in rich configurations and that base models are almost non-existent. But if you compare them to European models, then yes, US base versions are slightly better equipped than European ones. But in both markets, halogens are common, and if you see a car with xenon at an auction, it's a very rare case, and most likely that car will sell for a high price. I think you all already know and are used to halogen lights. Most likely your F30 either has them or had them before. As Sergey Baykov said, cheap and cheerful, and there's really nothing more to add. By the way, regarding the price of front halogen headlights, they cost about $150 per piece, so it's not difficult to find them at that price. Besides the appearance of halogen headlights, there is also a nuance regarding how they illuminate. Many customers would like to improve their low beams since visibility with halogen headlights is very poor at night. One of the cheapest ways to enhance lighting on halogen headlights is to replace the bulbs with LED ones. They can cost roughly between $30 and $100. However, there may be some nuances. Regarding the parking light check and constant headlight monitoring, and for that, you can code it. Some bulbs may already have built-in resistance to prevent errors on the dashboard. We don't recommend this option, but to each their own. And we move on, and here it is. Who recognized it? This is our Touring 320D, which, by the way, is already running a Stage 3 turbo. We're preparing it for tuning. And soon, I think you'll see a video of our Stage 3 project on the N47, a 2.0-liter diesel. And today, this Touring is taking part in this video as the owner of the top-tier headlights for the pre-LCI BMW F30. Xenon comes in two versions, standard and adaptive. This Touring got lucky. It has adaptive xenon with automatic high beams. Imagine you're driving on a dark highway, you turn on the auto high beams, and as soon as an oncoming or leading vehicle appears, the system automatically dims the high beams. However, for this to work, the car must also be equipped with the CAFES system, which uses a camera to monitor traffic. And this makes retrofitting the system much more complicated. Ideally, you'd need to replace the windshield and make other modifications. Because of this, most people don't bother with it. And that's why customers, they go straight for LED when upgrading from halogen because of the cost. Of Xenon optics is not bad. If you remember, halogen headlights cost around $150 per unit, while Xenon headlights are almost as expensive as LED ones. That means they cost around $400, $500, or even $600, depending on whether you find adaptive or non-adaptive ones. So when customers find out the price of installing Xenon, they often think it's easier to pay a bit more and go for LED headlights instead. Advantages of Xenon over halogen. Well, visually, you've already noticed the difference. With Xenon, we get the signature angel eyes, which that's what most people love when they look at a BMW. And besides the looks, of course, there's a high-quality projector lens, meaning visibility is great, and everyone likes how it looks. I'd even say Xenon headlights are almost on par with LED ones. The light output is excellent. When the Xenon system is fresh with no burnt-out reflectors or worn-out lenses, Xenon lights shine very brightly with a crisp white light, closely resembling LED. They are a significant upgrade from standard halogen lights. In this video, we will try to show you the difference. Now, let's move on to the most impressive option in terms of both appearance and illumination. Every F30 owner's dream if their car originally came with basic halogen headlights. In fact, it's also Sergei Baiko's dream. This is the original LED headlight setup. Here we have a facelifted F30, just as it should be, and 330 with the B48 engine. We also plan to review the B48 engine, which is the successor to the hugely popular N20. If you're interested in such a review, leave a comment. What do you think about the N20 or B48? Which one is better, and what common issues do they have? We'll make a video for you in the future. LED headlights come in two types, standard and adaptive. The price for standard LED headlights starts at around $100–$200 for a pair, which is similar to the cost of Xenon. That's why most customers opt for non-adaptive LED headlights. F30 owners with halogens usually don't bother retrofitting adaptive ones, LED, since no one wants to install CAFES, replace the windshield, or deal with auto high beams. The same goes for ride height sensors. That is, usually they do not put them, just coded that they do not have them. And they adjust it properly so that the LED shines correctly. So, they install the standard LED. This is the most popular retrofit option at our shop. I think the main reasons why people want to upgrade to LED are that halogen looks dull and its light output is weak, while LED looks stunning. By the way, it has always reminded me of Optimus Prime, like a real transformer. Especially on an M package, the LED headlights look absolutely awesome. And of course, they shine amazingly well. So the choice is obvious. And there's a huge difference compared to halogen. Daytime running lights, parking lights, just look at the difference. I think if you see such a car on Autoraya or in real life, you'll definitely want an F30 with LED. With an LED, but then you'll see the price and start thinking, I believe that those who don't know much about the F30 or BMW in general, newcomers who are just getting into it, for them, there's a cool F30 and a not so cool F30, and they might not even understand the difference. But when you take a closer look, here's what we're telling you. The main difference in the front end of an F30 is the LED headlights, and of course, the M package. And now, we're moving on to the star of our show, the ultimate transformation from rags to riches, as we upgrade it from a basic spec to a fully loaded beast. We had a question. Which headlights should we install? We were choosing between OEM LED and LED replicas. We didn't even consider Xenon. In the end, we went with the LED replica. Now let me tell you a bit about it and why we made this choice. What's the deal with LED replicas? Visually, they're identical to the OEM LED headlights, except for the branding. If you walk around and take a close look, you won't spot any differences. Everything looks exactly the same. The inserts are the same, the glass is the same. So when we were checking out the headlight, we'll add a video clip for you now. The only difference there is some of the lettering. So in the plastic, you can see that the new plastic looks fresh, while the used one has some wear. We compared a new LED replica with a used original LED. One of the advantages of such LED replica headlights is their price. As I mentioned, the original ones cost around 1,400 to 1,200 euros, which, depending on the exchange rate, is approximately $1,400 to $1,500. Here, the replica costs around $1,000. At least that's how we sell it. But the advantages don't stop there. The second main advantage is the ease of retrofitting. For original LED headlights, a full retrofit is required, meaning you need to run wiring from the FM module through the body, add extra wires, and also perform coding and programming. This alone costs around $300. That's the minimum, not to mention if you want to retrofit yourself with height sensors for ground clearance. And I'm not even talking about auto-distant cameras and similar things. So the minimum retrofitting with all sorts of small parts, connectors, pins, and wiring costs about $300. So what's the deal with this optics? Why do so many people want to install them? It means that you don't need to retrofit anything here. So you remove the bumper, take off your halogen headlights, and you simply install these LED replicas that fit into the same connectors as the halogen ones. So there are versions for xenon and for halogen. They are usually sold for halogen because for xenon owners, there's no point in installing all LED optics as they shine about the same and look similar. For halogen owners, it makes sense, of course, you just install it. The retrofitting costs about $80. Followers on Instagram have been watching the drum on this LED optics for a while and often ask how this replica actually shines. I made a vidosik there and already showed the video. They shine pretty well, I think, like the original, but I don't think there's much of a difference. But in this video, we'll show you and conduct an experiment. How it shines, and you'll see for yourself. We've prepared this experiment for you. This is the parking lot on Berestyanskaya. There are 4 cars parked here right now, but we're interested in a few of them. The first one has the LED optics original. We just put it on the modified vehicle recently. Next, we have our LED replica drum. And the third one is the Xenon, which is a station wagon 320 diesel stage 3. But the Xenon is already a bit worn out, actually. It's quite old with 350,000 kilometers or 360,000 on the odometer. So don't be too hard on it. And the third one is some kind of Chinese replica, something like Xenon or halogen, but we're not really considering that one. Check it out. Here we have the original LED drum alongside a replica. Judging by the fence, they shine the same. And maybe the drum is even brighter, possibly because the fence is reflecting, I'm not sure, but it seems like they're about the same. Now we've moved on to our stage 3 wagon, 320 diesel, Xenon. Judging by the fence, it shines white, so it's not like halogen. It shines nicely, like an LED, but weaker, in terms of intensity, roughly speaking, in lumens or however you measure it. Basically, the light strength is weaker. It could be due to the fact that it has 350,000 kilometers on the odometer. So, well, we'll take that into account. But has the right to life, everything is clear. Whether it's worth changing or not, you decide. And here's an interesting situation. Usually before, about 90% of all F30s were on halogen. Now for the experiment, we need a halogen F30. But we couldn't find a single one at the service station. Only ones with LED optics showed up. Well, we'll find a halogen F30 eventually. For such a visual experiment, I think we deserve likes and subscriptions. Moving on. So why did we choose this particular LED optic for our drum? What's the catch? Well, as you understand, this is a project for us. It's not like I'm just a regular client wanting everything original. I installed LED optics, driving around, and not having any issues. We were really curious to see how these LED headlights perform in practice. We installed them to test them out. Plus, the advantage of all this is the ease of retrofitting. The thing is, if we ever decide to sell our drum, we can easily take apart the optics and install them somewhere else. First of all, Sergey Beko is already interested. He wants to buy it at a discount. He says, take it for $500. So there will definitely be a lot of people wanting to grab it. Well, the simplicity of retrofitting. You install it, take it off. So if we had installed the original, we would have ended up with, well, the option to retrofit back to halogens wouldn't really be possible, and it would mean extra costs and so on. Which, by the way, gives me an idea of leasing or renting such optics for customers with halogen headlights. They think the car costs around 15 to 20,000. They consider installing LED optics, maybe planning to sell it in 2 years. But with our lights, they'll be thrilled with how they shine and how they look, and then they can just return them, roughly speaking, lease them back, rent them out, whatever. They'll get them at a lower price. And before selling, we'll put the halogen headlights back on. And the next point why we chose these is the price. The cost of retrofitting the original LED optics is about $1,500 for the headlights, plus $300 for the retrofitting. That's roughly $1,700, $1,800. So what we're looking at here is 1,000 plus 800 in retrofits. That's 1,800. So that's the difference between $620 to $720. And for that price, we'd rather put on a drum an M bumper with a lip and painting. So imagine, roughly speaking, for the price of LED optics, we get the front end already on the M pack with the lip and the LED of the same optics. Only analog. And you might ask, Vadim, you're telling us all this great stuff. It's clear that you're selling them, installing them, trying to get us to buy them, and so on. This whole video was basically a sales pitch about these headlights and everything. Let's talk about the details. The first nuance. Well, it's clear that for those who aren't bothered by the absence of BMW LED, that's just a detail. You won't notice it from a meter away. Honestly, for me, it doesn't really matter at all. The second nuance is there's no way of changing the degree of illumination of the lights. You can see that now. We've got the original LED and non-original. By the way, did you notice in the previous video about the M body kits? There was the M kit and there was the drum, and the drum was shining much brighter. I think you probably had some questions about why that happened. I think it's because on the halogen, there are regular small halogen bulbs for the marker lights, and there's no way to change the lighting with coding or anything, whether it's brighter or not. But with LEDs, there's the possibility that they can shine at maximum brightness, or maybe not at maximum. Yet, changes with the marker lights and the daylight, and all of that is coded as well. Another nuance is possible errors with the parking light. There could be errors before you start the headlight, like with the low beam or something else. You might get errors like parking light or some other issue. This can't even be fixed with coding. It's rare, but still unpleasant. There have also been cases of defects in the adjustment with the knob that controls the beam height. So there were cases where you turn the knob, but nothing changes. We even replaced the headlight. However, we don't provide any warranty on the headlight after installation. We install it, check it, and if everything looks good, it's good to go. Because obviously no one tested it on the Chinese ones. There's also another nuance during installation of this replica. The thing is, there are no brackets included in the kit that regulate the headlight's lift height. It just comes with a mounting bracket for a self-tapping screw like on a regular halogen. There could be questions about the beam height, but that could happen with any headlights. We don't guarantee that the headlights will shine evenly after installation since we don't have a proper stand for alignment. This is a completely different service elsewhere. On top of that, sometimes the American parts are unevenly repaired and there are crooked mounting points, which makes it even harder to set the headlights correctly. Now let's move on to the conclusions about this replica. Why did we choose to install it? I think you understand. It's the simplicity of installation, removal, and price. And of course, this is a project for YouTube. An experiment, we decided to test it out because of the nuances and defects that can happen with these headlights. To be honest, we're already thinking about stopping buying and selling them. So a month ago, I thought it was a cool thing, we'd sell them, everything would be great, but it's not as perfect as we hoped. Well, as you know, there's no such thing as free cheese in the bag. There are nuances, and we're already considering possibly stopping the purchase and sale of these headlights. So, right now, on the day of filming, we've already replaced the LED replica optics on our display with the original optics. The LED is not adaptive, so if anyone is interested, feel free to reach out for retrofitting. Okay, just a little insert about the LED replica. I've already collected statistics from the managers. So basically, everyone was complaining. There's a high chance of defects, and some coding manipulations are needed to avoid errors. I mean, for those still ready to deal with some nuances, plus it's a bit brighter, you might notice it flickering. Yeah, when you look at it, so it's brighter. Anyway, there are nuances. We don't recommend it. It's kind of stop selling it. But if anyone's really willing to take a chance, we can help. Moving on to the rear optics, this is the drum. This is Sergei Baiko's car. The drum used to be in the same shape as Sergei Baiko's car. These are the standard taillights. Pre-facelift, these are our facelift taillights. A lot of times drivers who want to upgrade their optics to improve them. And what they have, two options, in fact, even three. One of them is to put in facelifted. Lights like these, as you can see how cool it looks. A lot of times you get the European ones, so you can get the turn signal. The second option is to retrofit with M Performance lights. Unfortunately, we don't have any M Performance lights to show right now. They were on display, but we retrofitted them. We've placed a new order and are waiting for the delivery. The advantage of M Performance lights over the restyled ones is the design. It might appeal to some more than the regular restyled ones, but as we've noticed, it looks different on different car colors. On some, it looks great, but on others, not so much. And we did a poll on Instagram, and the opinions were split about 50-50. So half were in favor of the restyled ones, and half preferred the M Performance. Another plus of these lights is that they're cheaper and brand new. You'd think M Performance would be some expensive tuning, but it turns out they're actually cheaper. Then the original restyled ones, they're about twice as expensive, roughly. So if the original ones cost around $1,000, these are priced around $500. The downside to M Performance lights is many people confuse them with some Chinese parts, because there's a third option for retrofitting, which is installing Chinese rear lights. Some clients have done this, especially with the GTS style. The M4 in the original has a GTS version, and those lights look like crocodile scales, one by one, like a dragon going slowly. We'll show some videos now. And the Chinese make such replicas for the F30 and the F40. And there was some experience with retrofitting, and they end up looking like these gray Chinese lights, and the scales go like that. So it looks like once you get used to it, you think it's from China. The problem with M Performance is that they look like that too. And if you're not aware that it's M Performance, some customers came up to the display and said, "It looks like China. What's this Chinese stuff? What do you have for rear lights?" Well, those who know, know, but those who don't, don't. So these are the nuances. These are the retrofitting options we have. In my opinion, the car is very refreshing. If you compare it now, pre-facelift and facelift, although we did a poll, and by the way, some people even voted for the pre-facelift. I don't know how that happened. For me, the facelift rest definitely makes the car look newer. Imagine this. I'm driving in traffic and I see an F30 in front of me from the back. When I see the pre-facelift door rest, it's obvious. Yep, it's the pre-facelift. But when you see the facelift optics, it just looks fresher, more modern. It feels like it's from around 2020 or something. Anyway, I think Sergei Baiko would approve too. He would... No? Shit, what are you telling me? I think Sergei Baiko would prefer the facelifted version, and he'd probably switch to the facelift optics. Okay, by the way, let us know in the comments, which do you prefer, the facelift or the pre-facelift? In the end, everyone makes their own decision about what to install. As an auto service, we recommend installing the original LED. And we'll make sure to keep it in stock for retrofitting at our location on Berestayskaya. And possibly, we'll have it available for those who aren't bothered by it at all. We'll also keep the LED replica in stock, since it makes sense to install it too, especially because the price is lower. In the end, it's up to each person to decide for themselves. The choice is yours. I think you enjoyed our From Rags to Riches series. We've conducted a thorough study of the possible options. Front and rear optics on BMWs. Let us know which option you'd choose for the front headlights and rear taillights. And we'll be shooting the next episodes of Not Worth It Prints. We've already retrofitted the car with various cool stuff inside the cabin. We've got ideas for future episodes about retrofitting the steering wheel, seats, and more. LED dashboards, NBT Evo, and more. Drop a like for our project, leave a comment, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Videos about retrofitting and testing all kinds of cool stuff on the car come out there first. Stay tuned for the next episodes of From Rags to Riches. Now, we're off to get to work.